Hey there, I'm Frank. For nearly 40 years, I thought I had this whole blood pressure thing figured out. Take a pill every morning, avoid the salt shaker, get my yearly checkup. Simple, right? That's what I believed until last September when I woke up at 3 a.m. with a crushing headache that sent me straight to the ER. The doctor looked at my chart and said something I'll never forget. Mr. Thompson, your blood pressure is 210 over 115. You're lucky you woke up at all. That night changed everything for me. And it might just change things for you too. You know, when I got back from Vietnam in '72, I was just happy to be alive. We didn't talk much about things like blood pressure back then. I was young, felt invincible despite what I'd seen over there. The military doctors had mentioned something about my blood pressure running high, but hey, who wouldn't have high numbers in a war zone? 20 years later, at a routine physical for my job at the factory, the doctor told me I had hypertension. He prescribed a medication and said, "Take this daily, cut back on salt and you'll be fine." And I did exactly that. For decades, never missed a dose. Thought I was doing everything right. But here's what I didn't understand, and what you might not know either. High blood pressure isn't just about the numbers on a machine. It's not just about taking a pill and forgetting about it. It's about your entire lifestyle, your stress levels, what you eat, how you move, and even how you sleep. Let me share what I've learned since that terrifying night in the ER. Because it might just save your life like it saved mine. First, let's talk about what high blood pressure actually is. The doctors explained it to me this way. Imagine your blood vessels are like hoses carrying water. When the pressure gets too high, it damages the hoses over time. Your heart has to work harder to pump blood, and eventually, something's going to give. Could be a stroke, could be a heart attack, could be kidney failure. For me, that something giving was almost a stroke. The headache I experienced that night was my body's desperate warning signal. The doctor said I had what they call a hypertensive crisis. My blood vessels were under so much pressure that they were on the verge of bursting. I still get chills thinking about how close I came. After 3 days in the hospital, they adjusted my medications and sent me home with a wake-up call I couldn't ignore. But the real education was just beginning. My cardiologist, Dr. Martinez, sat me down and said, "Frank, there are things about high blood pressure that most patients never fully understand until it's too late." He explained that hypertension is called the silent killer for a reason. Most people feel absolutely fine while it's quietly damaging their organs day after day, year after year. That was my second lesson. You can't trust how you feel. I felt great most days. I still worked in my garden, took my grandkids fishing, even helped my neighbor put on a new roof last summer. All while my blood pressure was dangerously high. The third revelation came when Dr. Martinez reviewed my medication history. "Frank," he said, "your body has changed over the last 20 years, but your medication hasn't been adjusted in a decade. Turns out, the medicine that worked for me at 50 wasn't enough at 70. Our bodies develop tolerance to blood pressure medications over time, and what once controlled the problem might not be enough years later. This is important for anyone taking blood pressure medications. Regular monitoring and adjustments are crucial. Don't assume that because you've been on the same medication for years, it's still working effectively." Another thing I learned, and this one hit home for me as a Vietnam vet, was about the connection between stress, trauma, and blood pressure. Dr. Martinez asked me if I ever had nightmares about my time in Vietnam. I admitted that I did occasionally. He explained that post-traumatic stress doesn't just affect your mind. It affects your body too, including your blood pressure. When you have those nightmares or flashbacks, he said, your body releases stress hormones that can spike your blood pressure even while you're sleeping. That made so much sense to me. I'd notice my heart racing after waking from those dreams, but I never connected it to my overall heart health. For any veterans listening, or anyone who's experienced trauma, this might be affecting your blood pressure more than you realize. Now let's talk about lifestyle. I thought I was doing okay because I wasn't adding salt to my food. But I didn't realize how much sodium was already in the processed foods I was eating. Canned soups, frozen meals, even the bread I bought, all loaded with sodium. Dr. Martinez connected me with a nutritionist who taught me how to really read food labels. She showed me that my healthy, frozen dinners actually contained more sodium than my daily limit. And those canned vegetables I thought were so good for me, packed with salt unless I bought the no salt added versions. The food education was eye-opening, to say the least. I started keeping a food diary and tracking my sodium intake. It was shocking to see where all the salt was hiding. But even more shocking was what happened when I started eating differently. Within just 2 weeks of following a true low-sodium diet, we're talking lots of fresh vegetables, lean proteins, whole grains, my blood pressure started coming down, even before my new medications fully kicked in. The nutritionist also taught me about the DASH diet, that stands for Dietary Approaches to Stop Hypertension. It's specifically designed for people with high blood pressure. The diet focuses not just on reducing sodium, but on increasing foods rich in potassium, calcium, and magnesium, minerals that actually help lower blood pressure naturally. Foods like bananas, sweet potatoes, leafy greens, and yogurt became my new best friends. I'm not going to lie and say I never miss my old ways of eating. But when I think about that night in the ER, it makes choosing a banana over chips pretty easy. Exercise was another eye-opener for me. I always thought I was active. Enough working in my garden, doing projects around the house. But Dr. Martinez explained that purposeful, sustained exercise that gets your heart rate up is different from just being busy. He said, "Frank, your heart is a muscle. Like any muscle, it needs regular training to stay strong and efficient." He recommended 30 minutes of moderate exercise at least 5 days a week. Nothing crazy, walking at a good pace would do. So I started walking. Just 10 minutes at first, because that's all I could manage without getting winded. But I built up gradually. Now 6 months later, I walk for 45 minutes every morning with my neighbor Jim, who also has high blood pressure. We keep each other accountable, and honestly, it's become the best part of my day. What's amazing is how much better I feel overall. I sleep better. I have more energy. My joints don't ache as much. And most importantly, my blood pressure numbers have improved significantly. Speaking of numbers, that was another important lesson. Dr. Martinez taught me that the standard 120/80 we all hear about isn't necessarily the target for everyone. For some people, especially older adults or those with certain medical conditions, doctors might recommend different targets. He also showed me how to monitor my blood pressure at home properly. I was doing it all wrong before, checking it at different times of day, sometimes right after exercising or eating, which can temporarily raise your numbers. Now I check it the same way each time. After sitting quietly for 5 minutes with my back supported, feet flat on the floor, arm at heart level. I record every reading in a notebook, along with the time and any unusual circumstances, like if I was feeling stressed or had just had coffee. This record has been invaluable for my doctor to see patterns and make better decisions about my treatment. Another critical piece of information I learned was about medication adherence. That's doctor speak for taking your meds correctly. I always took my pill in the morning, but sometimes it would be 6 a.m., sometimes 10 a.m., depending on when I got up. Dr. Martinez explained that this inconsistency could cause fluctuations in my blood pressure throughout the day. Now I take my medication at exactly the same time every morning. I use one of those pill organizers with the days of the week, and I've set an alarm on my phone as a backup reminder. It seems like a small thing, but it makes a big difference. I also learned about medication interactions. For years, I was taking ibuprofen for my arthritis pain, not realizing it could be making my blood pressure medication less effective. There are lots of over-the-counter medications and supplements that can interfere with blood pressure control. Always talk to your doctor or pharmacist about everything you're taking, even if it seems unrelated. Let's talk about alcohol too. I used to enjoy my 2 beers every evening while watching the news. Dr. Martinez explained that alcohol can raise blood pressure and reduce the effectiveness of hypertension medications. He didn't tell me I had to quit completely, but he did recommend cutting back to no more than 1 drink per day. It was tough at first. That evening beer was part of my relaxation ritual. But I've found that a sparkling water with lime gives me that same sense of unwinding without the blood pressure spike. And I save the occasional beer for special occasions, like when my son comes to visit or when the football game gets really exciting. Sleep was another factor I never connected to blood pressure before my wake-up call. Dr. Martinez asked about my sleep habits during one of our appointments. I admitted that I often woke up several times a night and rarely got more than 6 hours of sleep. He explained that poor sleep quality and sleep apnea, a condition where you briefly stop breathing during sleep, are strongly linked to high blood pressure. He referred me for a sleep study, which confirmed that I had moderate sleep apnea. Getting treatment for that has made a huge difference not just in my blood pressure readings, but in my overall energy and mental clarity. For anyone listening who snores heavily or feels tired even after a full night's sleep, please talk to your doctor about getting checked for sleep apnea. It's more common than you might think, especially among older adults and veterans. Now, I want to address something specifically for my fellow veterans. Many of us came home with invisible wounds, PTSD, anxiety, depression. These mental health challenges aren't separate from our physical health. They're deeply connected, especially when it comes to blood pressure. If you're a veteran struggling with mental health issues, reaching out for help isn't just good for your mind, it's essential for your heart too. The VA has come a long way in providing mental health services. I finally started counseling for my PTSD last year, and it's helped my blood pressure almost as much as the medications have. Let me tell you about my blood pressure numbers now. 6 months after that terrifying night in the ER. With my new medication regimen, improved diet, regular exercise, better sleep, and stress management techniques, my average reading is now 132/78. Not perfect yet, but so much better than before. My doctor is thrilled with my progress. But the numbers only tell part of the story. The real victory is in how I feel. I have more energy now than I've had in years. I'm sleeping better. The constant headaches I used to get, which I never connected to high blood pressure, are gone. I can play with my grandkids without getting winded. My thinking is clearer. Even my vision has improved. So, what's the main message I want to leave you with today? High blood pressure isn't just a number on a machine or a pill you take every morning. It's a condition that requires comprehensive management, medications, yes, but also lifestyle changes, regular monitoring, and addressing underlying issues like stress and sleep problems. If you have high blood pressure, or if you have risk factors like family history, being overweight, or a high-stress lifestyle, please don't wait for a crisis like mine to take it seriously. Talk to your doctor about a complete management plan. Get a good home blood pressure monitor and use it correctly. Learn about the DASH diet. Start moving your body more, even if it's just a short walk each day. And if you're a veteran like me, please consider how your service experiences might be affecting your heart health, even decades later. The connection between trauma and hypertension is real, and addressing both can be life-changing. Remember, high blood pressure is called the silent killer because it usually has no symptoms until something serious happens. Don't be fooled by feeling fine. I felt fine right up until that night when I almost didn't wake up at all. I'm sharing my story today because I don't want anyone else to go through what I did. I want you to have your wake-up call without the emergency room visit. Because taking control of your blood pressure isn't just about avoiding a crisis. It's about living a better, more energetic life every single day. This is Frank signing off. Take care of that heart of yours. It's the only one you've got.